Welcome back to the Women's Basketball Summit, the online platform for players, coaches, and parents. Today, my guest is Bobby Smith, and we will be talking about training the female athlete with putting an emphasis on basketball players. So, Bobby, welcome to the call.
Yes, thanks for having me. Really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to talking to you because the one thing we were just chatting about, I love that you're in the trenches every day. I know you just said you had almost 300 athletes go through this summer. So again, you're in the trenches every day. You see what these females are going through. So super excited. So for everyone that doesn't know you that's listening and call, tell everyone about your background as an athlete and then as a coach.
Well, my background as an athlete started, obviously in high school. I was a three-sport athlete, did football, basketball, and track and field. And then was fortunate enough to go on to the Monmouth University where I did two sports there. I was captain of the football team. We won 2 conference titles, and I was an All-American javelin thrower for the track and field team as well. I continued on throwing the javelin professionally and won the 2008 Olympic trials. And what that got me into, I wasn't fortunate enough to qualify for the Olympics, but it got me into the Olympic Training Center. And that was where the first time where I started to learn and move properly, started to run like a track and field athlete instead of like a football player. And it was really funny. The first 3 months there, everyone's like, that guy won the title? That guy won the trials? Because I was just like a fish out of water there. I was a straight football player. My hips were down. I wasn't covering any ground. I wasn't moving, very well. And then within, 3 to 4 months, I started to move, and everyone started to see the changes drastically. And that's where I knew right there and then, this is what I wanted to bring back to New Jersey. And at that time, my wife, she was still in the trenches. She's a physical therapist, owns her own practice. And then after my time was done throwing, we looked at each other after her second facility closed down because of poor management. She was just renting space from there. I looked at her and said, let's go. Let's do this. And from day one, we opened up with 16,000 square feet. And I had seven female athletes at the time. I mean, her business was in like year 7, booming, doing great. And, I was like, let's go. We'd put everything on the line. And I put out an ad in the NSCA and got over 150 coaches applied for the job. And Adam Fite's resume stood out by far. What I was looking for was someone with college experience, athletic experience, had their degrees, and, his resume stood out. And we started from day one. His wife was a huge part of that as well, too, because, we started to see a lot of female athletes. My wife's specialty is ACLs, and that's what she sees, a lot of post-surgery ACLs. And not only did I have the 7 stud female athletes, but from her population as well, too, we started coming up with this system that, Adam was a football player. I did football, track, and field. Mary Kate played soccer. So we kind of mold everything together to make the perfect system as we feel.
Nice. If you don't mind, do you want to talk about the system a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, what we see athletes is predominantly 2 days a week, 90 minutes. So the first 15 minutes is a dynamic warm-up. We go by the joint-by-joint approach, making sure everything's mobile, activated, and stable, what needs to be, and then we go into our speed and agility. So day 1, we work on linear speed, that first step quickness, breakaway speed, get them nice and fast. Then we go into our plyometrics. So then we break the group up because we see about 16 kids with 2 coaches. We break the group up into 2, so we do medicine ball to get that upper body nice and explosive, and then we do our plyometrics with our jumps. And with that, too, we want to make sure not only are they jumping, getting full extension of their hips, but also landing properly. So that's the big thing. Then we go into the weight room. We do a full body lift, starting with our explosive, then making sure that we get our hips activated or our glutes activated. And then what from there we want to do is a full body lift. So we don't break it up into uppers or lowers. We want to use the full body because that's what they use in their sport. And we want to make sure, we keep them moving nonstop. So it's like active rest where we do our core stability. But the biggest thing, all our pushes, we match with our pulls to stay balanced. That's the biggest thing is like everyone wants to work those muscles in the mirror, but they work that posterior chain to make sure that we're decelerating properly. And then we go on back on that turf and do some conditioning. But the biggest thing is our day 2 is where I see the biggest change in our athletes because day 1, we get them fast, but day 2, we work on how to stop and decelerate properly with that, shuffling mechanics. Because not only kids not only taught how to run properly, they're not taught how to stop properly. So that's the biggest thing is for injury prevention, but for performance enhancement so they can stop and cut. Because as you know, basketball, it's nonstop, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go.
So I'm gonna go back to kind of the ACL and the training you do. But first, I know obviously you see a wide range of female athletes. do you have like do you differentiate if you're training a soccer player or a basketball player? Where's the difference in the training if there's a difference?
Yeah, for us, we don't. We want to make sure we're making them more athletic. Soccer, basketball, track and field, or football, because everything, is like sports specific, but the only sport specific is their sport. We want to make them more athletic. And it's like when you go, overseas or Europe and you see like this pyramid, it's the general foundation is the support. And in this country, I feel like it's sports specific. Everyone wants to do their sport nonstop, but then they have no general athleticism. And it's like we get someone in, like a girl softball player, and she can do a rotational med ball toss and put the ball through the wall, but she can't even do a jump because she doesn't know how to jump, but she knows how to transfer her power to hit the ball. And it's just so like we see that nonstop with athletes is that they're really good at their sport, but they're not good at fundamental foundational movements.
No, 100% agree with that.
Especially at this high school age.
Yeah, I mean, I joke with the female athletes that come in. I want to give them like a football, and I want to see if they can throw the football. And I tell you, 90% of these girls can't throw a football or baseball, but they could be a stud basketball player. So no, it's absolutely about kind of just building an overall athlete. Because these kids, 99% of them are not going to go on to play professional. We want to kind of make them active athletes, so when they go transition, they know how to work out, they know how to take care of themselves. So let's go back to your wife. I know she's a physical therapist. She deals with a lot of ACL injuries. What are you guys seeing for the ACL injuries? Do you see like predominance in certain sports? What are you guys seeing?
So for, especially for hers is, her business is unique because she started off turning people away. And when you see physical therapists, it's general population, it's the geriatrics, because that's where the people are getting hurt nonstop. But in the beginning, where her business, like she rented out of a sports performance facility and she turned those people away. And she generally sees ankles, knees, shoulders. That's it. And it's like a college weight room or college, athletic training center, because it's just high school kids in there, especially from like 3 to 6. And it's that culture that you see is like, when you tear your ACL, I know I tore both of mine. It's dramatic. You never had anything like that before. But then when you see other athletes in there, like, whoa, that girl's 3 months out. Whoa, that girl's 5 months out, and she's doing that already. It's just that culture that she built is so unique. And, the sports that she sees multiple sports: gymnastics, soccer, basketball, field hockey, lacrosse.
So obviously we both know there's an ACL, epidemic. I think every year ACL injuries are increasing by 3%, soccer, basketball, the top two. What are your thoughts on what we can do? I don't know if I want to say prevent, but kind of reduce the number of ACL injuries in our female athletes.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, reducing the risk, obviously. And the first thing is that it's just pure statistics alone. And they're playing more games, more girls are active playing. It's just the numbers. It's like a cab driver. If he's driving all day, the chances of him getting into an accident are higher if he's just driving 2 to 3 hours a day. And that's what's happening now. Girls are not just playing during their season, they're playing outside their season. So the number of games, it's surely just the time that they're playing. And what we can do to, lower the risk is getting them into a proper strength conditioning program. And what we're doing now is that we're teaming up with a local basketball, AAU team, and then also a local basketball skills center to get them doing the skills 2 days a week, but coming to us 2 days a week. And that's going to be the perfect package, is making sure that they're, working on the general athleticism with us, but also the sport specific with those coaches as well too. And I think that's where, what needs to be done.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely agree with you. I think all females should be doing some form of strength training, sports performance training. I find around here, I'm outside the Boston area, just trying to get them to balance like their practice time, their skill work, and then kind of the strength training. It's a fight, because they think they got to, skill. And I'm like, you play in college, I play basketball in college. The difference from, playing high school and college really isn't the skill. If you're good enough to play D1, you're going to play it. It's the speed and the strength, and trying to have them understand the only way they're going to get better at that is get in the weight room.
We had an athlete come in yesterday. We do a free assessment, get him in, do some baseline testing. And she was like, well, I'm going to probably play some fall basketball league, so I don't know if I can do this. And I was like, so you're going to play in the fall, you're going to play in the winter, and then you're playing the spring. I said, so you're not going to work on any skill work, because and playing games, and then you're not going to work on any strength. Because what we saw from that assessment is that you're not jumping very high, you're not running very fast. So if you give us these 3 months, you're going to have a tremendously better basketball season in the winter. What would you like? And she's like, I don't know now. I didn't think of it like that. I said, I know you didn't.
No, that's a good piece. So now that preseason basketball is starting, college obviously will start right after Labor Day, but all for high school, what would be your focus with your athletes coming in for preseason basketball next week?
Yeah, we have two local girl basketball teams starting up next week, and we're really excited about that. We've had the one, and they were actually ranked in the country a couple years ago, and then this other one too that just started coming is high level as well. And the biggest thing is, those first 2 weeks is just getting them fit, getting them ready to train, getting them be able to move, because they're going to be sore because they haven't done any of these movements before. And what I tell the parents, they might be a high-level basketball player, but they're not high-level in the weight room. So we have to build that foundation. It's no matter if I'm building a mansion or I'm building a back house. The foundation is the most important part, and we cannot rush this. And that's why we want to set that tone and get them moving, and then doing some isometric contractions, getting them down in these positions, holding it, and then we can go into some eccentric movements. So slowly getting down in these positions, and then we can start getting dynamic. But what I'm telling the parents is we want to slow this down. We have 12 weeks to work with them, but what we look at it is we want to see them year-round. So obviously we're not going to get them in the season in the winter, but we want to see them in the spring. We want to see them in the summer, but also long-term athletic development. If they're a freshman now, we have 8 years with them ideally. So 4 when they're in high school, 4 when they're in college. And we want to make sure that we're setting them up for long-term success.
Nice. So we covered a lot today. I know that you go around the country, you speak to a lot of the coaches. For all the coaches listening for this summit, what would 1 to 3 pieces of advice would you give all the coaches listening?
I think, the biggest thing is everyone wants to get faster. When every athlete comes in, we have goals, and it's like get faster, jump higher. But when the injuries occur is when we're stopping or when we're landing. And when I just finished my master's in performance enhancement, injury prevention, and the number one thing to help reduce the risk was cueing the athletes on proper fundamental movements. So the coaches might be doing the correct exercises, but if they're not coaching them how to do it correctly, they're actually instilling improper movement patterns. So it's slow the process down and make sure that we teach them how to decelerate properly so we can get them fast. And it's like I had one of my athletes come up to me postgraduate, and he's like, yeah, I'm starting to fly now. I've done, over 100 hours. And I was like, oh, that's great. How many times have you landed? And he's like, well, I only landed like 3. He's like, so you want to come up with me? I was like, no way, man. I'm not coming up with you. I was like, it doesn't matter how you're flying. That's the easy part. It's the landing that scares me. And it's the same thing with the athletes. We do this assessment. We do a 60-yard shuttle, a 5-back, 10-back, 15-back. And what you're seeing is them rounding the cuts. They keep going down. They ooze into the cuts because they have no strength. And at the knees, they're coming in. And it's just a perfect storm of females. It really is, because they want to stay up tall. They don't have the strength to get down properly. Their hips are wider. Their knees come in. And we have to make sure that we put them in a proper program to make sure we're strengthening the right areas to hopefully reduce this risk.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you. Again, everyone wants to talk about, improve your vertical jump, improve your speed. But I'm like, we need to teach them how to land and stop before we do this. I appreciated talking today about training the female athlete. If people want to find out more about you, your training center, where can they find you, social media or website?
Yeah, social media, we do a great job on Instagram. I Got Ripped. And then my personal one is Coach Bobby Smith. And then we are fortunate enough, we have 3 educational DVDs with Athletes Acceleration. So we have coaching the female athlete, we have the complete warm-up, and we have our jump program as well. Too would be great for all, coaches out there, not just sport performance coaches, but the basketball coach as well too, is because, like I said, if, we're doing all, right, going in there and then you're warming them up and you're not coaching or cueing the same way, and then you're instilling these wrong movement patterns.
Nice. Well, Bobby, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully eventually you and I will meet in person.
Yeah, that'd be great. Look forward to it.
All right, Bobby, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.